topic of the week, which relates to parenting and confidence and how to maintain your kids' confidence with the school year coming up through challenges that they might have to face. But before we get into that, there was a big announcement that a lot of people have been asking me about. We're talking about the tuition increase. So our current students, talking to you guys right now, yes, there is going to be a minor tuition increase starting in September. This is mostly due to the fact that our insurance doubled last year and is nearly doubling again this year. It's really gross how much they can raise that year over year. We've been shopping around to try to figure something else out. And granted, it's not just the insurance. We also, we're one of the only places around that doesn't force you to buy your own gear. We have plenty of gear to borrow. We're one of the few places around that's licensed and insured at all, right? And then on top of that, one of the big things is we do this full time. This is our full-time thing because our entire job is providing the best experience possible for you guys. That's what we do. We're not doing another day job in between. This is what we're doing. We dedicate our lives to the experience that you have here, and I feel like that makes a big difference in our classes, right? So one of the big things we have is I have this rule that in the ages 9 and up classes, no more than 10 students per instructor. In the age below 9 classes, no more than 5 or 6 students per instructor at most. So everybody gets plenty of one-on-one time. And I think that makes a huge difference because a lot of places, like there's some great places to train around here, but you're going to be, or your kid is going to be in a class of 10 or 20 kids to one person, and it's a struggle in that case. So there's a lot of reasons for it, but I did want you to warn you about it. If you have any concerns or can't keep up with it, or you're worried about not being able to afford it or something, just reach out to us. We'll figure something out. We will figure something out that works for all of us involved. It's not a big deal, okay? Now, time to get into our actual topic of the day. What was our title?
Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
I love you so much.
What matters more? Our title was What Matters More because a week or two ago we had confidence weeks here. And we talk about a lot of things during confidence weeks. We talk about the difference between confidence and arrogance. We talk about setting boundaries. But the one thing I was really focused on this last time we had confidence week is understanding what matters more, the effort and time put into something or the results you got out of it. In my opinion, if we're looking to raise someone's confidence, so let's talk about parenting for a second, right? So if I'm a parent, I want my child to put their best effort into school. I want them to do the best they possibly can, right? I mean, that's kind of the main thing. What's up, Jamel and Carolina? Nice to see you guys. So I want my kid to do well in school, right? But let me just give the example I gave in class, and let's see if you guys can understand the difference. So for example, let's say my kid worked really hard to study for a test. They get an A on that test, and they come to me, and they're like, hey, check this out. I got an A. I'm so proud of myself. And I say, yeah, I'm proud of you too. That's awesome that you got an A. Keep up the good work, right? If I say something like that, then that kid's going to feel confident for a little while. They're going to feel good about themselves. But what happens if they try really hard at their next test, but they get a C? Are they going to be willing to talk to me about it? Are they going to want to talk to me about it? No, because I told them that I was proud of them for getting an A. And so when they show up with a C, they feel like they didn't meet my expectations. They feel like they fell off, right? And then that makes them try to hide it or try a little less hard or things like that. But let's flip the script a little bit. Let's say they came to me and they said, look, I got an A on this test. I worked really hard for it. I'm excited. And I say, that's awesome that you got an A. That must have took a whole lot of effort and hard work. And you know what? I'm proud of you for the effort you put in to do it, regardless of what grade you get. Now, if they put in that same effort in the next test, but they get a C, they're not going to feel like they disappointed you as much because they put in the effort. And then you come back and you say, look, I know you got a C and I know that's not the grade you wanted, but I'm still proud of the fact that I watched you study, I watched you put in effort, and I watched you try your best. Now, the reason I feel we're going to build up confidence, especially in kids, or if you're working out, if you're doing a fitness thing, you got your own goals, the same concept works. Focus on congratulating yourself on the effort and the progress more than you congratulate yourself on the results. Because fitness consistency of your workout is harder because you start feeling like you're not making progress. But if you're constantly proud of your effort anyway, like, look, I didn't lift the weight this week that I lifted last week, but I'm proud I got myself to do it. I put in some effort. I got lifted last week, but I'm proud I got myself to do it. I put in some effort. I got a little stronger. Then you're more likely to continue with that fitness regimen. Now, we can use this same thing when it comes to schoolwork and our kids, right? We can use the same principle. So if we focus our confidence and our encouragement on their effort and the things that they are working on, they focused on the work ethic, focused on things like that, then they're going to be more likely to put in that level of work ethic, because that's what we're complimenting them on, regardless of their result. And here's the fun part about that. The more you work them on, regardless of their result. And here's the fun part about that. The more you work hard like that, even if your results go up and down, over time, the better your results get. It's like a stock market graph. So success or doing good at something, progress is like a stock market graph. If you zoom out a Google stock graph across 10 years, you see kind of a steady upward trend, right? But if you zoom into one day or 1 week, there's a lot of ups and downs. I know, Alberto, that lagginess is getting to me. But yeah, so you zoom in that stock ticker to a week, and now you see up and down and up and down and up and down, right? Progress works the same way. So each day, if you're expecting to do better each day than you did the last, you're going to get really disappointed in yourself if you're focused on the results. But if you focused on the effort you put in, the work you put in, the fact that you got it done, rather than putting the effort on the results, then you're more likely to keep putting that effort in. And guess what? Over time, the more you put that effort in, the better the results get. Yeah. Now, if you look at the day-to-day, it's going to go up and down and up and down and up and down. But if you zoom out across 6 months or a year, you're going to get a steady upward go.
Also, as parents, we have to have enough patience to realize that our kid is not the same as we are or the kid next to them.
Yeah, they're going to learn at a different rate.
And they might be a bad test taker. They might have a really hard time understanding what their teacher is trying to explain.
Maybe they don't get it that way. Maybe they need it explained in a different way.
Yeah,
right?
And so always praise their effort. It doesn't matter. Okay, so your doctor, you know what test results your doctor got to get their license?
Right. Were they
No,
a C student, a B
don't.
student, an A student?
You don't, but
You don't
you
know
still
that.
go to them because they have their license. Why are we treating our kids any different? They're
Yeah.
doing, as long as they're doing their best,
Yep.
it doesn't matter.
Right. But same thing comes into sports, right? Because I get so many people quit, not just martial arts, but I see them quit other sports and stuff for the exact same reason, right? So kid wins their first game of the season. On the way home, dad's super proud. That's awesome that you won. That win means everything. That's incredible. You did your work, you did the thing, and you won. Then let's say they continue that same work ethic, but they lose the second. There, that should fix it. Goodness. Technology,
Yeah.
man.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry. I
We're
got
just-
halted
it's
there.
honest-
Yeah, sorry. I
we're
got
just-
halted
it's-
there.
Honestly, it's really bad signal in this building today, and
Yeah, I think I got it. Okay, preaching. Thanks, Spence. AI is crazy. Yeah, that's definitely true. All right, so we were talking about sports, right? So kid wins a game. Dad's all excited. Yeah, you won. That's awesome. See, hard work means you can win, all that, and it's all focused on winning. So then second game comes along. They still worked hard, but they get outplayed. They lose the second game. Well, now that kid feels just like they disappointed their dad. Well, dad wanted me to win. Dad said if I worked hard, I would win. I worked hard and I didn't win. So now I'm disappointed. My dad's disappointed and everything else. That eventually leads to quitting a sport, especially team sports. Because understand that the individual skill level doesn't always matter in team sports. You could be an incredible soccer player, and then 1 year you get put on a team with a bunch of people who don't care or aren't that interested or just aren't athletic or just aren't that good at their position. And then you could play as hard as you want, but one person can't win a soccer game. One person can't win a basketball game. One person can't win a football game. The whole team's got to be doing their job, right? And sometimes not all the team does it. So when it comes down to it, whenever my son finishes a sports activity, I don't praise them on a win. I praise them on the effort. Yeah, maybe he got a win. He's excited. We won that game. That's awesome. You won that game. You put a lot of effort in. I saw your hustle. Win or lose, that level of play will take you really far. You know, you might not win all your games. I always give the lesson of there's no such thing as an undefeated champion. There's not. They might be undefeated for a season. They might be undefeated for a couple of seasons, a couple of years. Or combat fighters, they might be undefeated for their first 9 or 10 professional fights. But what you don't see is their training fights. You don't see their training drills. You don't see their sparring matches. And the fun part about it is I've never met an undefeated fighter. Never. Because even fighters that are undefeated with a professional record still get beat in practice all the time. They still get beat in sparring all the time. There's no such thing as winning every single time you do something. That just doesn't exist. Failure's part of the learning process. Failure's part of getting better. But if we always emphasize the win or the grade or the result of what's going on, then the kid or whoever we're talking to is basing their confidence in the win, the grade, or the result. Instead of that, I want my students basing their confidence on their effort, their work ethic, and their progress rather than their results. So maybe I have a kid that really struggles with headlock escapes or something like that. But throughout the 5 weeks we worked on headlock escapes, they were putting in more effort than anyone else on the floor. Well, guess what? Maybe they didn't get it this time, but I know next time we cycle around to working on headlock escapes, and they've been working hard, they're going to get better. The people who get it naturally end up not working as hard, and then eventually they lose it. This happens often with my black belts, right? So I get people up to the black belt level, and stuff they did well at through colored belts, they suddenly can't do very well at black belt. Why? Because they never worked that hard at it because they felt like it came to them naturally. So they didn't feel like they had to work hard in it because they were worried about the result. So every time I try this escape, 80% of the time I manage to escape. So I get a good result, so why should I work any harder? Problem is, then they get to a higher level and they can't pull it off anymore because they gave up on trying hard, decided that it should be easy for them. It's what I call the gifted and talented curse, right? GT programs started in the mid-90s when I was in school. I was in one of the first GT programs in our state. The problem is with it, and GT programs, that's a great idea. Gifted and talented, great idea. Poor implementation in the early days, very poor. So they made us all that got into the GT program, they made us all feel like we got into it because schoolwork came easy, because we naturally learned faster. But then every time one of us ran into something we struggled with, y'all gonna laugh at me. For me, that was prepositions. I was a straight A student until prepositions, man. And something about prepositions, I just couldn't get it. I was sick for a week. I missed some stuff. The teacher thought I'd pick it up easy. They tried to explain it to me. I was in 7th grade. I didn't understand it.
7th grade?
Yeah, I know.
We
I
were
went to
doing prepositions in 3rd.
I know. I went to a very tiny school that just did their best. Yes, it was 7th grade by the time we got into prepositions. Now, okay, don't. I went to school in Oklahoma. You didn't.
I didn't.
I went to school in Oklahoma. So we were doing prepositions in 7th grade, and I couldn't get it. But I was in the GT program, so I was so scared to ask for help because everybody always came to me for help. I tutored other students. I couldn't be possibly having a problem with something so simple as prepositions. But because I struggled with it, but I was in the GT program, I refused to get help because I thought I was just supposed to get it. I just got more and more mad at myself until it became a real problem. It was 9th or 10th grade before I finally figured out prepositions. I'm ashamed to admit that as a 4.0 straight A student. But prepositions really gave me trouble.
There's a song for it, by the way.
Is there?
Yeah. Above, about,
Share?
forward, across, after, against. Yep, there's a whole song.
Oh yeah, no, they didn't teach us that. They didn't teach us no preposition songs or nothing like that. They just told us everything a squirrel can do to a tree. And I'm like, climb?
No.
That's what they told us.
No.
They told us everything a squirrel can do to a tree. And I'm like, and then they're like under. And I'm like, under? A squirrel can't go under the trunk of a tree. I don't know. It was.
They did it. No.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Now, eventually I figured it out. But it's that same problem of I was taught to focus my confidence on the results I got. So when I finally ran into something that I wasn't getting good results at, I was disappointed in myself. I felt like I was letting everybody down. And instead of get the help I need, I was too scared to ask for help because I felt like I was disappointing my teachers by not being, what they expected me to be. Same thing happens with our kids. Same thing happens with sports. Same thing happens with things like martial arts, gymnastics, parkour. It happens in everything. So like, I tell my parkour kids this stuff all the time. The first time you land a new trick, like an aerial, a back tuck, a layout, a whip, an Arabian, a twist full, a corkscrew, whatever, the first time you land it, that doesn't mean you have it.
It was probably a fluke.
It doesn't mean you have it. It doesn't count till you can do 10 in a row, is what I tell my group. Because you might work on it, and then hit that one right at the end of class, and you're like, I landed it, I'm so proud of myself. And then you go home, I'm so proud of myself for landing it. And the next week you come back into class, we go into it again, and no, you can't land it again. It happens. Because progress isn't a straight upward line. It's up and down and up and down and up and down. So you have to understand that the first time you get a trick, the first time you win a game, the first time you do something great in sparring or in martial arts or whatever, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to repeat it every single time after. Now, over time, you'll be able to repeat that result more and more often. So let's take the backflip example. If I can get someone to land their first one, awesome. You got your first one, but understand that means the work is just now beginning. Because now we need to get you to be able to land 10 out of 10. Because then what will happen is you're not going to be able to land them right off the bat every time you work on them. You're going to need a spotter. You're going to need to work your way into it. You have to build the confidence, become more comfortable with it, because doubt kills more dreams than lack of skill does. And I talk about this in tricking all the time because it's really important. If I go into a backflip and I'm fully confident and committed that I can do it and I'm not scared at all, there's a good chance I'm going to land it. Real good chance. If I have decent technique, doesn't have to be good technique, just decent technique, good chance I'm going to land it. But if there's even the slightest kernel of doubt that I'm going to make it when I take off into that backflip, probably not going to make it. The slightest kernel of doubt. Because what will happen is you'll take off into it, that doubt will hit you and you'll tense up a little bit because you get nervous about landing on your head or falling. That tension slows your spin. Now you're not going to land. Now you are going to fall on your head. That's exactly how that works. So over time, even once you land a technique the first time, you have to spend a long time training that technique and the confidence in that technique to where that doubt is gone. And you know that every single time you throw it, you're landing it, period. Once you have that level of confidence with a technique, then it becomes second nature. But that doesn't happen within a week of landing it the first time. That happens within 6 months of landing it the first time as you repeatedly do it. So maybe the first week you've landed it once. The second week, maybe you managed to land it 3 or 4 times out of 50 attempts. The third week, maybe you land it 10 times out of 50 attempts. The fourth week, maybe you land it 12 times out of 50 attempts. 6 months in, now you're landing 40 out of 50. 6 months after that, you're landing 50 out of 50. Now you can do a backflip. Now you can tell people you can do the flip. Now you can tell people you can do that flashy kick or takedown or sweep or clinch work or knee strike or whatever it is, right? But it takes that level of effort. So with my students, I praise the effort, not the results. So if they land that backflip, I say, yeah, awesome effort you put into getting that. Remember, you're not going to hit it next time you come in. Don't stress about it. You're still got a lot more failures ahead of you before you fully get it. And then they come in and get disappointed they can't land. And I tell them, look, you're still putting in the effort. And that's what I'm proud of you for. You showed up again. You're trying again. It's not going your way, but you're still in there. And that means that eventually you're going to get it. It might take you a month, it might take you a year, it might take you 5 years, but you keep trying, you're going to get it. It just takes that effort. You have to know that eventually you're going to be able to get it. The second you start going, well, I'm never going to get this, I just can't do it, well, that's when you're not going to be able to do it, right?
Yeah. And I do like to say your results are a direct reflection of your effort, but what it really should be.
But that's not always true.
Is that your results and confidence are a direct reflection of your long-term effort.
Yeah.
It's not your immediate effort. It's your long-term consistent effort.
And this is something I tell the competition team. I don't know if you guys know, but we have a competition team that does 6 or 7 tournaments a year. And we typically do really well at most tournaments. Well, about half the team does. Half the team's always new. You know, half the team's always fresh and they don't do so great. But the other half of the team's more experienced and they always tend to do real well at tournaments. But I tell my kids all the time, I don't care if you win or lose. What I care about is you give me 3 good moments for the highlight reel. 3 good sparring moments, 3 good forms moments, 3 good trick moments. Give me 3 good moments of each for the highlight reel. I don't care if you win or lose. All I care about is that you trained hard, you put in consistent effort, and you showed up to do your thing. So whenever I have a kid come to tournament, it usually happens on their first tournament, and they're all like, yes, I've been training hard. I'm going to do well. I'm going to win my first match. I'm going to do this. I stop them right there. I say, hold up. Don't tell yourself you're going to win. Instead, tell yourself you're going to go out there and do what you trained to do. You're going to go out there, put your effort in. You're going to use your footwork. You're going to use your techniques. You're going to put combos together. You're going to create angles. Tell yourself that's what you're going to do. And win or lose, you're going to do that. Then you're going to put that on that. So then if you win, sure, you can be proud. Everything fell in place and you won. But if you lose, you can at least walk away going, well, I didn't go in there trying to win or lose. I just went in there trying to do my best footwork, trying to do my best techniques, trying to do my best angles. And today, that guy got the better of me. Today, he was luckier. Today, maybe he worked harder than me in the last 6 months. But I'm not going to let that happen at the next tournament, so I'm going to work harder moving on.
I actually like tournaments that don't immediately reward
first and second place. Yeah.
I like it when they give them slips of paper.
Yeah.
Because then the kids come over to me and I take the slip of paper, I write their name on it, and at the end of the tournament, they can get their trophy or their medal or whatever.
Yeah, let me back up and explain that because y'all may not understand. But martial arts tournaments run a lot like wrestling tournaments for the most part. There's age and skill divisions that are split by age and skill. And some tournaments at the end of each division, they just hand out a medal or trophy. I don't really like those kind of tournaments because what ends up happening is some kid loses whose parent or coach overemphasized winning, and then that kid loses, and that kid walks off in tears and throwing a fit. Hi from Nicaragua. Awesome.
Hello from the U.S.
Yeah.
We're glad you're listening.
Glad you're with
That's
us on
cool.
our live podcast. Yeah. So we run into this at tournament all the time. There was one time I was really upset. I teach my team good sportsmanship. Win like you've won before and lose with grace, right? Lose with grace. Congratulate your winner. And if you do win as if you've won before. Don't act like it's the first thing you've ever won in your life and lose your absolutely ever-loving mind.
Well, and it's not like we don't compete with the same group of kids
Over and
from
over and over
different
again.
schools.
Yeah.
So you know all of these people.
Yeah. So I always tell them that right off the bat, but it never fails. I mean, there was one last year. I'll tell you, probably the worst one I've ever seen. There's a lot of coaches and teachers and parents out there that overemphasize the win. Oh, you're going to win. You've trained so hard this 6 months. You're going to win. Well, you never know who showed up to the tournament or how hard they trained, or if you're going to have to go against an opponent that's twice your height or twice your size, or their legs are longer than yours, or whatever. There's all kinds of things that can happen, all kinds of variables at a tournament that have to do with the outcome. But this one girl, and this is our problem with the ones that give away trophies right off the bat, there are some tournaments that as soon as the division's over, they line everybody up and they hand them trophies and medals. There was one division, believe it or not, it was the teens division. Teen girls, a girl old enough to know better. She had to be, what, 14?
Yeah, she was not our student.
She was like 14, 15. She was not our student. And there was 5 people in the division. And as soon as she realized that she didn't even get third, this girl starts not just bawling, but throwing a fit, yelling, cursing, storming off the mat. Her mom tried to grab her and give her a hug, and she turned and screamed at her mom and punched her mom in the face. I swear this happened 3 feet from me. And I was like, if this was my tournament, she'd be out. She'd be thrown out right now. She would not be allowed in here anymore. And a lot of tournament promoters are that way. You show that kind of attitude, they're going to kick you out. You DQ, disqualify, can't compete no more, and you're blacklisted from the tournament. In martial arts, humility is a thing. Courtesy is a thing. It is very important, even more so than you see in basketball, football, baseball. At a martial arts tournament, you're expected to win with humility. You're expected to not brag to your partner or throw a fit or anything like that. But every tournament, we see somebody do that. And I guarantee I know the cause of it. A parent, coach, or both emphasized winning and said, you're only good if you win. Train hard enough and you'll win. Then they trained as hard as they could and they didn't win. So now they lose their crap over it. Me instead, I say train hard. Training hard will improve your win rate, but never walk in expecting to win, because then you get overconfident and you're going to lose. Yep. You're going to lose. Yep. If you go in going, I'm going to win this match, 90% of the time you're going to lose. You go in and go, I'm going to put my best footwork forward and I'm going to try to catch this guy off balance. Oh, well, now you're doing the right things to get wins. Now, you might win, you might lose, but at least you're doing the right things to get closer to a win. You see what I'm saying?
But it's our job as adults to set the expectations for our kids, for our competitors.
To guide them.
And let them know that there are more important things than winning and losing, because you're not always going to win.
And there are more important things than getting an A on every test in school. I was a 4.0 grade average person. I didn't get an A on everything I did. Are you crazy?
Because, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if there's so much focus on winning while your kid is a kid, what happens when they get laid off from their job when they're older? Do they have that background of work ethic and effort focus?
Have they learned how to lose and bounce back? Do they have the type of grit and perseverance it takes to lose something and then get back on that horse, yeah. Right? Now, the way you do that and the way you emphasize that with your kids is you start them real young. And whenever they're proud of themselves about something and showing it to you, or they are telling you about it, then when you praise them, don't praise them for the thing they did. Praise them for the effort it took for them to get there, and that you're proud of the fact that they worked on it and stayed consistent with it, and that you don't really care one way or another whether they accomplished it or not. What you care about is how hard they tried for it, how much effort they put to it. Now, see, your kid really just wants your appreciation, your affirmation. So if you give them that affirmation based on effort, then they're going to come to you next time something goes wrong, and they're going to be upset, and they go, hey, this didn't go right, I'm really upset. But then you're going to go, well, but did you try as hard as you could? Did you train for it as hard as you could? Well, yeah, I worked at it every day. I studied. I did this. I did that. Okay, then I'm proud of you for that. I don't care if you got a C. I don't care if you lost the game. I'm proud of you for the effort you put in to try. Well, and the more I do that, the more my kid realizes that all I really care about is how hard he tries. All I really care about is the effort and consistency he puts in. Well, then he starts to feel the same way about himself. that as long as he knows he put in the effort and consistency, he's proud of himself. But he doesn't worry about the wins and losses anymore because I taught him not to worry about the wins and losses by showing him that I wasn't worried about the wins and losses. All I cared about is the progress and the effort.
And our kids' wins and losses are not our wins and losses. And they're
theirs.
not a direct reflection of us as human beings.
And look, we're trying to guide our kids to be awesome, well-functioning adults with
Individuals.
grit and confidence and stuff. Now think about your own confidence and how your parents treated you. Does your confidence stay stable, or does your confidence go up and down based on the results of what you're doing? Oh, I did really good, got really good results at this, so I'm confident. Oh no, this thing fell apart at work, so now I'm depressed and I'm down on myself. If that's you, that's probably because someone in your life, a coach, a parent, or something, at some point when you were a kid, made you think that whether you win or lose matters more than the effort you put in. That the win and loss result matters more than the effort you put in. But if you take a kid and you focus not on the wins and losses, but on the effort itself, and then they become an adult, when things don't go their way, they're still going to be confident because they know that they can handle it if they keep putting the effort in. They know that one loss doesn't mean a season is done. They know that one championship loss doesn't mean you can't come back and be champion next year. They know what it's like to keep going and improve over time. But if they're always emphasized winning and losing, the more they lose, the more they want to quit. Then they become adults who maybe they struggle at a job, and the more they lose, the more they end up quitting. Versus adults who are confident in their ability to handle the problems and handle the losses and grow from them and get better at their job so that they're more likely to get promotions and raises or whatever, or move to better companies and better jobs down the road. I'm not going to get into that whole conversation right now. But you want to raise a kid who is a confident adult. You can't do that if you emphasize their confidence on wins or losses, results. You can't, because now their confidence is going to go up and down their whole life. But if you base their confidence on effort and work ethic and their ability to solve problems over a span of time, now they're going to be a more confident adult that can maintain their confidence even when things start to fall apart around them, because they know that they've lost before and came back. They fell down before and came back. They know all they got to do is put in a little more effort, a little more research, a little more learning, and they can overcome what's in front of them. But someone who places all the emphasis on results, they're going to get so down on themselves and so depressed that they're not going to put in the effort necessary to get past the problem. People that focus their confidence on results are people that do not have grit. That's it.
And if you really want your children to be
Hot sauce.
If you really want your children to be resilient, this is what you'll focus on.
Yeah, you'll focus on their effort, their progress, but not their results. Let the results, a lot of people say, well, results speak for themselves. No, results speak for themselves long term. So I'm going to end this video with something I already said once before. Progress is not a straight upward line where you do better every single time you do it. Progress is a stock market graph. If I zoom out across 5 or 10 years on a company like Apple, then I'm going to see a steadily progressing line that goes upward. But if I zoom in to the past 2 weeks, or past month, or past 1 week, or past 3 hours, it's up and down and up and down and up and down, right? But over time, those ups and downs blend together into a steady upward trend. So you got to understand that progress at anything is the same way, including sports, including martial arts. Y'all do realize that it takes, now the average person never gets a black belt. I'm going to say that right off the bat. But of the people that manage to get to a black belt level, it takes 5 years plus.
With us.
Even with us. I mean, there's some places that do 2 years, but those are places that emphasize mostly forms or mostly sparring. We emphasize a well-rounded curriculum where there's grappling and kickboxing and clinch work and takedowns and throws and self-defenses and forms, all in one curriculum. So your average jiu-jitsu guy takes about 10 years to black belt. Your average person with us can do it in, well, not the average, but the person that gets a black belt, it's possible to do it in 5. Most of our students take 8 to 10 years to complete the black belt level. Every once in a while, you get a student that just works so stinking hard that they can do it in 5. But that's very rare. And honestly, the only people I've ever had do that are now instructors. They're now instructors. Other people have taken 8 to 10 years. I've got some people that got stuck right under the black belt level for up to 5 years before they finally passed it.
Which is fine.
It's fine. Everybody progresses at their own pace. But They were able to continue going because us and their parents didn't emphasize the results. We didn't get upset with them when they failed the black belt test when they took it. Instead, we went, hey, you put in more effort this time than you did last time, and you did better. You got higher numbers. You almost made it. You did better. So next time, you're going to do even better still because you're going to train a little harder. You know what to expect.
We're going to tweak your training routine.
You're going to tweak your training routine.
Yeah.
And maybe they have to take that test 5 times before they pass it, but they eventually pass it. But when you have, I've had a few students that quit because they failed the black belt test the first time or two they took it, and they were used to being the top athlete. I had a kid in here who was a top state level wrestler just a few years ago. Great wrestler, amazing wrestler. But this ain't sport wrestling. This is self-defense fighting. This is totally different, right? And he decided to take the black belt test, and that he would do better at the black belt test than anyone's ever done. 45 minutes into the black belt test, he had his head in a trash can vomiting, while a middle-aged woman taking the test with him was running circles around him. I'm serious. And that kid was so upset at his failure that he didn't give up right off the bat. He tried the test one more time a few months later. Guess what? Same thing happened. Because he didn't really train for it. He thought he should be able to do, well, I'm a top level wrestler in the state. I should be able to do this. Nope.
That has nothing to do
That
with
has
survival,
nothing. These
babe.
two things are mutually exclusive, right? So this has nothing to do with this type of black belt test. After the second time he failed, what happened?
They quit.
He quit. He quit because he decided that he got so down on himself, he lost so much confidence that he couldn't pass it, but a 38-year-old woman passed it at the same time, which was funny to watch, by the way. But he just got so down on himself that he's quit. It was because him and his parents were putting a lot of emphasis on that he was such a great athlete. He won in every sport. He won most of his wrestling matches, and they put all the emphasis of his confidence on winning. So when he hit the black belt test and he couldn't win, well, fine, I just can't do it anymore. But I have ladies in their 30s and 40s and 50s. I have teenagers that are shy and not really naturally athletic that work hard for 4 or 5 years, and they manage to pass these tests just fine. Just fine, no problem. But they have an easier time passing the test. Y'all realize why though, right? Because they base their confidence on the fact that they can see that they've been slowly improving year after year after year. So they recognize that within a certain amount of years, they're going to improve to the level they need to pass that test, and they know it. So they stay with it, and they eventually get there. But people that focus on wins and losses, they never earn a black belt from us. For y'all that don't know, our black belt test, you have to pass 2 one-hour qualifiers, and after you pass those, the test itself is 6 hours long. It starts with a 2-mile run. Then you got to throw 500 kicks. Then you got to work out for the rest of that hour. You have to finish that in 60 minutes. Your next 60 minutes, you're fighting. You're fighting 3-minute matches over and over and over again. And between each match, you throw your gloves and headgear off. You get attacked with rear naked chokes, headlocks, grabs, pushes, being stomped on the ground, whatever it is, and you have to successfully defend yourself north of 70% of the time, successfully against full contact, full go, full effort, self-defense. At the end of that hour, you got to show us every traditional form and kata you've ever learned. Then the public portion starts. Now you have to show us self-defense bunkai applications out of your forms. You have to show us self-defense applications with a favored partner out of different kinds of attacks. You have to do all your forms again, and you have to spar again. It takes about 6 hours. No, the average person can't do it. You have to train hard to get to that level. You have to train hard. Anyway,
I'm just tired thinking about it.
we've been on this video long enough. Well, think about our 5th and 6th degree tests are 1 year long.
Yes.
You have a certain amount of everything you have to complete, and you have 1 year to do it. Like, it's intense. But that's because the black belt test isn't about winning and losing. It's about surviving, and it's about proving that you can commit to a disciplined routine for long enough to get the skills you need to solve the problem in front of you. And is that not a life skill that's important no matter what you do with your life?
Yes, sir.
So think about that. Till we see you again, be the best teammates you can be, and be the best at being you.